Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Happy day to you. We are we are alive. We're in these bodies here on this earth, one more day of life. And then on top of it, I'm just so delighted to be here today. Um, when I think about Bruno Groening and his teachings, I am just utterly filled with awe. I'm literally speechless. Um, Bruno Groening for me was just so able to clearly speak what I consider to be the truth, the real truth, and not just the truth, but how. Because there are many eloquent spiritual teachers out there, spiritual authors, and so forth. It's very easy, really, for anyone after you've read enough spiritual things, you have some creativity, a little bit of intelligence to give eloquent talks on spiritual matters. But that's actually not what Bruno Groening did. He did the exact opposite. He gave practical advice how to um, reconnect with God and be guided by God. He, instead of giving big grand speeches, he would say very simple things like God is the supreme physician, or nothing is incurable, nothing is impossible. That's kind of the extent of his speeches, um, in terms of talking about the truth. Mostly what Bruno Groening did is point us how to live. Now this is um, hmm, it's a little confronting, because if you're anything like me, the spiritual path for me so long was just about acquiring information. But Bruno Groening challenges us, chides us, pushes us to live spirituality. When I think of what Bruno Groening, the way Bruno Groening taught, I think of that beautiful line from the Bible: faith without works is dead. Anyone can get up and give a talk on spiritual things, but to live it, to really live spiritual principles. And Bruno Groening, even more than just to live it, he said, observe your body more and more, every day, every hour, every minute, every second. Now, of course, for in the context of not just observing your body for the fun of observing your body, but Bruno Groening instructed us to observe our body with the intention of absorbing the energy of God. So in essence, and then asked us to strive to do it every moment of the day. So what does this mean? Bruno Groening calls us, wants us, I don't know what the exact word is, us to strive to be connected to God every moment of the day. So that's what he asks of us. That's what he instructs us to do. And of course, I fall short every day. I fall short every minute. And yet, that's the goal that Bruno offers. Not so much. I think the word I'm looking for the exact words. Is it what Bruno instructs of us, asks of us? I think what I can say is that's what Bruno asks us to strive towards. And not just asks us, is available to help us do this. So one way I like to summarize what Bruno Groening taught is, if I would imagine Bruno Groening here, what he would say, oh, poor human being, you've been taught wrongly about everything. You've been taught wrongly about what you are. You've been taught wrongly what life is about. And you've been taught wrongly, most importantly, about what God is. But maybe even more important is the recognition that not only have you been taught wrongly about all those things, but you've been taught wrongly about how to draw closer to God. Not only what God is, but what the path to God is. And so the path to God isn't just reading spiritual books and going to spiritual meetings and going to church and giving great speeches. It's living it. It's taking those beautiful spiritual ideas and practicing them. So not only do we need to recover, I feel like Bruno Groening's teachings really are about recovering from wrong ideas about ourself, God, and life, but maybe most importantly, wrong ideas about how to do life and how to approach God. So a warm welcome to everyone. And Bruno Groening called us to the great reversal, the great turnaround, the great return. I sometimes call it the great 180, as one person on this channel called it, the great U-E, meaning the great U-turn to a radically different way of being. So, part of that turnaround is the recognition of what we need as human beings. We've been so mistaught, we don't even know what we are or what we need. How on earth can we do life well? It's like, can you imagine? Can you imagine being an actor and going up on stage the night of the performance, and not only have you never been given a script, but you're not even told what part you're supposed to play? It's opening night. The theater is packed. You walk out on stage. You haven't seen the script. No one's told you. If at least someone had told you what part to play, you could improvise. You could do your best, but you haven't even been told the part to play. So part of this path for me has been about getting really humble that I don't even know what I am. Thanks to these teachings, I'm beginning to have a sense of what I am, what it means to be a human being, but more importantly, how to do life. So Bruno Groening pointed out that as human beings, we need the energy and power of God. So let's take it in. It's very easy to do this. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor. Hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back, if possible, not leaning against the chair and not stiff and not just a nice upright position. I sometimes think of my back as the antenna to receive the divine signal. Really, I suppose the body is the antenna because we have the legs and we have everything just open and receptive and aligned. Having prepared physically, please close your eyes. And now I'm going to read Bruno Groening's very specific instructions for how to receive the Heilstrom, the divine power, the healing force. Put what is evil, the illness which has crept into your body behind you mentally, and pay no more attention to it. So let's do that now. Everything. We all have our little things we're seeking to heal in the body, but let's put those behind us now to where we don't even have the thought that we have them anymore. Now, Bruno says, I'm going to read the I'm going to read the translation. The next thing he says, "Mhm. Put what is evil, the illness which has crept into your body behind you mentally, and pay no more attention to it. Instead, give your whole attention to your healing or to the healing." So let's do that now. Let's give our whole attention to healing. Ask for the hailstone and focus and observe your body with concentration on what you feel. If I'm stuttering a little, it's because I'm doing my best to translate, and the particular English translation I have is not so good. So now ask for the hailstone and with concentration, focus on what you feel in your body. One person may feel warm, another cold. The next person may feel a tingling in his hands and feet, or he may feel pain. This is the divine power. And what you feel now is no longer has anything to do with the illness. Now every sensation is a step towards your recovery. Your body is beginning to readjust itself. So now we've put the illness aside. We've focused our attention on healing. We've asked for the Heilstrom, for the divine force. And we're observing our body. And now let's hold the view that every sensation we're experiencing is a step towards our recovery. And if we take on the thought of an illness again, then firmly giving it away. Every sensation now a step towards our recovery. With concentration, observing the body, remembering that every sensation is the body readjusting itself. Remember, for example, as I was just doing this, I started to feel a little pain. So the habit would be to, oh no, it's getting worse, or oh no, something's wrong. But if we can hand over the condition, really hand it over mentally to the point where we don't even think that we have an illness anymore, then that pain is actually the body. It's a healing in progress. So we have to hold that view. What I'm really starting to realize is, let's say, for example, let's say I have a stomach ache, which I don't right now. So I hand the stomach pain over to Bruno Groening. And then I focus on my healing, and I'm still meditating on what that means. To me, it means just having thoughts like everything is healing, my stomach's fine, my stomach will be fine, or just healing. Everything is healing. Then I ask for the house room, I observe the body. Let's say the sensation feels exactly the same, but there's something different now. In the past, I was observing my body through the lens of illness. So every sensation was like, oh no, there's something wrong with my stomach. Oh no, it's getting worse. Oh no. But now I'm observing it like this. My stomach is healing. Ah, healing in process. Hmm, I'm getting more healthy by the minute. It can't just be some fake affirmation. We really have to take on the view that the divine energy is healing us. And then look at it's like looking at this exact same thing with a very different pair of glasses. Observing the sensations with the view that healing is happening. So I'm going to read a little bit from Powers of the Spirit, page 163. So, um, so before what I read, Bruno Groening, it was at a gathering, and Bruno Groening, well, there was one person who was afflicted, and what Bruno did is he took the feeling of the affliction and gave it to another person. He didn't actually give the illness, but he gave them the feeling of the illness. Um, and let's see. If I take the smell of an illness and transfer it to the other person, it is only so that the other person can recognize and report on the unusual complaints better than someone who has been afflicted with the pains for a long time already and has thus become used to them. So, for example, let's say I've become used to a certain level of, pain. I'm not most accurately able to report on it. So, what Bruno would do is he would literally allow another person to feel what that person was feeling so that the other person could give an accurate report. At the same time, however, it becomes easier to demonstrate the healing process. When I then take away the strange feelings again, as I now do with her, and Grinning made a movement with his hand as if he were pulling something away, then a part of your own burden also disappears along with it, meaning Bruno took the feeling of pain, gave it to this woman. So let's say it was a man. This man's in pain. Bruno takes that sensation and gives it to this woman so this woman can then accurately report on it. Then, when Bruno takes that away from her, here's what he says happened. When I take away the strange feelings again, as I now do with her, then a part of her own burden also disappears along with it. With spiritual things, it is always like this. Whoever is prepared to help is also helped themselves. But I must warn you, no one should try this on their own when I am not here, for they will end up in a cesspool quicker than they would have thought possible, and will not get free of this filth that they have taken on so easily. So, first of all, it's fascinating what our dear friend Bruno Groening, sort of the spiritual games, in essence, he would play. But also, he points out that when we truly help another, that it actually helps us. And he also points out that some of the things he was able to do, for example, Bruno Groening would directly take on the evil of other people. And time and again, he warned other people not to do that. About such things, he said you always must be discerning with spiritual things. And sadly, today's spiritual marketplace is kind of this sense of, well, let's just try all this different stuff. Bruno Groening called us to be very discerning, not just with, quote, spiritual things, but with all things. But to really check, is it not just with spiritual things, but with any action, is it in divine order? Another way to say it is it God's will? But what I'm so struck by is that when we are prepared to be helpful and to help others, that it actually helps us. But here, Bruno Groening points out that not every helpful act is good for us. We need to be very mindful of the kind of help we offer. We've all had this experience. We go out and help someone and we feel so good afterwards. Another time we go out and help someone and we feel drained and yucky afterwards. I've experienced this so many times myself. So yes, the desire to help, it's one of the most sacred, holy desires. And just because the overall desire is good doesn't mean a specific form of helping is good. Here, Bruno Groening points out a very harmful form of spiritual helping, taking on other people's evil or burden for them. That's only for a highly qualified master or teacher or healer. And we've all had that experience of trying to help someone and then in hindsight being like, oh, that didn't work out well, or feeling burned. It's the same thing. Just because something is spiritual doesn't mean it's good or true. For the first 20 years of my spiritual journey, I thought, oh, well, it's spiritual, so it's good. And of course, that just led me in circles. There are many things that claim to be spiritual that aren't good. That's why we need discernment. So let's reflect on all this and take in some more good energy. I'd like to welcome everyone who joined in live and thank you to everyone who's watching this video. And good morning, Magdalena. Hi, Germana. Hi, Gerald. Welcome, Mila. Moste Bosna i Herzegovina Savina. Yeah, I don't know what that means. And thank you, Mila. Hug received and returned, Melanie. Thanks. So, for me, a huge part of this path has been getting humble because I was very well educated spiritually, but I was actually so ignorant and so not living those spiritual things. So I invite all of us to healthy divine humility. I'm going to close this with a prayer. Dear God, dear Bruno, please help us to be humble before God. Please help us have faith that God is all good. And then from that place of humility, help us to recognize our need for God and then to turn to God over and over. Like our life depends on it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Take care. Much love.